Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We provide fan-oriented and analytic discussions on a variety of animated shows, movies, and anime, including Steven Universe and Gravity Falls. I'm Dylan Heisen, and today I'm joined by Sam Quattro.
Hello.
Hey, Sam.
Hi.
Today we're going to be talking about The Tale of Princess Kaguya, a 2013 Studio Ghibli film directed by Isao Takahata. This was both Sam and I's first time watching this film, despite it being 2 years old. So I'm going to classify this as a review instead of a retrospective. Usually, when we discuss older movies, it's going to be called a retrospective. Although this is not very old. It was released in the U.S. last year and was nominated for an Academy Award, and it's pretty interesting. Spoilers for this film throughout the podcast, although we're going to do very initial reactions to the film spoiler free. There's basically one big twist at the end, and I would recommend not knowing it going into the movie, even though this is a 10th century folktale. So, but yeah, so you can listen to us whether we recommend it or not, and then stop after that. But yeah, you can find more about this podcast at overlyanimated.com, and you can support our Patreon at patreon.com/overlyanimated. So let's get right into it, Sam. What did you think of The Tale of Princess Kaguya?
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very good. It was very long.
Yeah, the film's 2 hours, 15 minutes.
Oh, it's so long, but I didn't feel like it dragged, really. There's some maybe towards the end it kind of dragged a little bit, but before then I was into it. I thought it was very nice, very good. I enjoyed it. The end. The end.
Okay. Yeah, I also really enjoyed it. I think if it dragged it out, I was in the middle. But I thought there were parts of this movie are incredible. The art style is incredible, and this might be one of the most gorgeous movies of all time. This is some of the best animation ever produced,
it is,
in the history of the world. So you can't get a bigger endorsement than that. Story-wise, I think it's interesting. I mean, it's obviously a fairy tale. There's not too much depth to it, but
they gave it depth.
They did. They gave it depth. It was based off of a 10th century folk tale, The Tale of the Bamboo Cutter, and most of the story elements are the same except a few key things, which we'll discuss. It got Ghiblified, in my opinion, basically.
Ghiblified. That's a nice verb.
This is Takahata's only his third film since Only Yesterday. Sam and I reviewed Only Yesterday as a 1991 movie. Then he had Pompoko, My Neighbors the Yamadas, both of which aren't very good. And now this one, 12 years after the Yamadas.
Yeah, it's his last one, supposedly. Probably.
Yeah, I mean, he's also
probably going to be his last one.
Yeah, because the end of Ghibli. But I think this is, I would say this is the third classic he's made in his career. Grave of the Fireflies, Only Yesterday, and now this. And those are three incredible movies to have on, as a career achievement. I wonder if this film if he was doing other things in the intermediate, how many over 10 years, or whether this movie just took a ton of time to make. Because I could see this taking so long to make.
Well, that's why we should all watch what's the name?
The Ghibli documentary? Did they say in that?
Kingdoms of Madness and Dreams, or whatever it's called. Well, it's it covers the production of this, sort of. It mainly covers the production of The Wind Rises, which was produced at the same time.
Did they say anything about the time period for making this?
They said that he takes a lot of time and he's never on time doing anything. So
yeah, seems right.
I stopped halfway through. I didn't get
Yeah, I mean, he's a lifelong animation director, and he only has not that many career movies made, so. If you're going to
doesn't even know how to draw.
Really?
Yeah.
Why doesn't he know to draw?
I don't know.
What does that mean, though? He doesn't know to draw.
I mean, he never did animation. He doesn't do the draw.
He doesn't storyboard?
No.
What does he
doesn't do any of that. He directs.
So he tells a storyboard artist what to do.
Yes.
Interesting.
You need to brush up.
I need to watch this documentary. That's interesting. Yeah, I wonder how much dictating he did for this very distinctive art style. Would you describe this as a wood block type of art style?
Like printmaking? Because that's literally what you just described.
Yeah, like similar to the Wan episodes in Legend of Korra.
a wood block, like sort of like a classical Japanese painting.
Classical Japanese, yeah.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Like to me, whenever this is most similar to the one episode's beginnings in Korra, that type of art style. I don't know. I don't think there wasn't a specific name for it on Wikipedia, and if Wikipedia doesn't know,
well, I'm gonna look it up.
We'll see as we go. Anyway, yeah, I would highly recommend this. It's not many people will get bored watching it. It's very long and not that much happens. Typical Studio Ghibli film, but you should see this. I think our discussion today is basically going to be about the interesting plot elements, and then the conclusion we'll have to come to is this like a masterpiece or is it merely very good? So we'll discuss at the end, I guess. But okay, spoilers now. Let's get into some specifics of Kaguya. I guess let's start with, what did you think of the character? I think she doesn't really have a name, right? So she's
the
Kaguya,
princess,
she's
Little Bamboo.
The princess, she's
Little Bamboo.
Takenako, she's Kaguya Hime, but mostly I think she's Hime, which is princess in Japanese.
Little Bamboo.
So what do you think of Hime?
I thought she was cool. I mean, I think it's sort of like the typical girl gets put into like a royal circumstance even though she doesn't want to. Her childhood is ruined forever. Well, that's not really typical, is it? I feel like this is a story I've heard before, but then again, this is like a folktale, so
this is probably one of the first versions of that story. Yeah, this is the oldest discovered Japanese like long form like narrative.
It's like the Beowulf.
It's like the Beowulf of Japan, yeah. Or the better example is the
Gilgamesh.
The Gilgamesh of Japan, yeah. It's not nearly as old as Gilgamesh, but yeah. So this is maybe where a lot of the Disney princess themes come from. It might be from the story.
Yeah, like...
Which makes it all the better that Disney did not dub this for the United States.
Well, then again, like...
It would have been interesting if they did. It would have been like...
maybe this fairy tale influenced all those other ones.
Yeah.
The Little Mermaid.
Just if Disney dubbed this, I'm pretty sure Kaguya would have been in the Disney canon of princesses, and I don't want to see that.
I don't think that would have happened.
They did it with who? They did it with some other. They did it with Merida from Brave, right? Even though that's not a Disney character.
Yeah, but they wouldn't like they just have like distribution over Ghibli, or they did in the U.S. right? They don't have like a thing with Pixar like
that's true. They don't necessarily not able to use the character in anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's I don't know. The G Kids. I don't know if they did a good job. We both watched this movie subbed, I should say.
I wanted to watch the trailer for the dub before we started, but I forgot.
Okay. Chloe Grace Moretz does the voice of Hime. And,
I keep forgetting who that is.
She's the little girl from Kick Bleep, the movie, since we're not cursing.
Oh, that girl. Oh.
Yeah, she's wonderful. I really love her. And so I love to see the dub at some point.
And like Darren Criss is in it.
Apparently Darren, I don't know how good he would be, but it's not like there's...
That's why I'm interested. I'm interested in that.
Yeah, I don't know. Chloe's the main draw, though. And it's... I don't know how good the dub is. You should see this movie in Japanese. Like... It's kind of hypocritical. I say mostly you should watch movies dubbed, except for I always watch subbed, and I give a lot of exceptions. This movie, like, I don't know. This is just such a Japanese movie, right?
Well, it is.
It just feels so more. It feels so authentic watching it, like with Japanese voices.
You're such a hipster, Dylan.
Like, how are you going to get the intricacies of like what various people call her, right? I don't know. Maybe is she called Little Bamboo in English? But is that what they call her?
I haven't seen a dub, Dylan.
I don't know. Anyway,
you had me watch this.
Slice of life movies, I'm much more likely to say.
I like watching dubs better because I'm a busy person who has a lot of things to do, and sometimes I can't look at the screen the whole time.
You should not look at the screen during this movie because it's
gorgeous. I do what I want.
Okay. So the question with this main character of Kaguya / Hime / princess / Takenako
Little Bamboo
is that Takenako / Little Bamboo is that is she like a real person, or is she merely the main character of a fairy tale? Because I say this because fairy tales don't have a lot of storytelling depth, and I think a lot of times their main characters are just symbols rather than real things.
Are you asking this in like historical sense? Like, was she a real person?
No, that's not what I mean. I mean, like, do you think the movie makes her a developed character?
Oh, that's what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay. I think so.
Yeah, I think mostly. I don't think she's like the most developed character ever.
Yeah. Well, I don't think there's.
Like, I think
in this movie, she's probably the most developed.
Of all, yeah, but no, there's none of the characters are great.
Well, it's a fairy tale.
Yeah, it's not. This isn't a film where the characters need to be incredibly developed. I think she has to stay mysterious like throughout the film because of the twist ending, right?
Ooh.
Like, oh, she's a moon person, right? So she has to like we have to not know about her that much.
She's an alien.
She's a moon person, or the moon people are meeple. That's my big joke for this one.
Okay.
They're the meeple.
Okay.
It's a Steven Universe joke.
Okay. Dylan, I watched that show too.
You don't? Okay.
I don't think it was that funny.
I think it was funny.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So, what do you think this movie transcends its fairy tale origins?
I just got an email.
That's not an answer to that question.
Well, sorry, it just popped up. Does it transcend its fairy tale origins? I think. I think it tries to, given how long it is.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if it was just, like, straight up fairy tale, like, no holds barred, it would be, like, maybe an hour. Not two. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it stops and smells the roses, and it tries to, like, you know, make it sort of as real as a fairy tale as it can be.
Yeah, I think mostly it's just the folktale or fairy tale. Like, mostly it's the same. But I think it does achieve depth towards the end with a few things.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty depthful throughout.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's the beginning or middle.
Like, the extended scenes with, like, all the suitors.
Like, yeah, I mean, all the suitor stuff is definitely in the fairy tale. Okay, so let's discuss the main differences. So I read the summary of the 10th century folktale on Wikipedia, so obviously I'm an expert now. And let's discuss the differences between this folktale and that. So I'd say that plot-wise, in the folktale, her father doesn't build like a mansion, I think is what the subs called it, and she doesn't like move to the capital to live there. She stays in her rustic home, and the suitors come to her there.
Oh, I wish that's what would happen. That's what happened.
Also, in the folktale, her parents give her the name Kaguya because it means shining light, and the stalk that she came out of was shining.
Get it?
Yeah.
It's also the moon.
Yes. But in the movie, they changed that the name Shining Light to reflect her beauty given to her by the old guy, right?
That guy.
Yeah. Also, basically, I think the other main difference is that the folktale has more emphasis on the emperor at the end. There's an entire epilogue with the emperor, and like he's less. Should we go there? He's less antagonistic, I think, in the folktale. It seems to me.
He wasn't. Well, he was antagonistic in the.
Warning now, because I think it's inevitable. Trigger warnings for rape and sexual abuse. I think the emperor is very rapey in the movie.
I can see that.
Like the one big scene is when he comes to her at the end and he like grabs her from behind, right?
And she's like, "Oh, nope."
And this is like the biggest. This is like in terms of plot movement. This is where everything happens in the film. Because like this makes her like reject Earth, and you could see. I think you could see this movie as like a parallel to how rape ruins people's humanity, because she's specifically goes to Earth because she wants the feelings and emotions of of like life as a human, and she slowly tried to pair it off, tried to force to be paired off with these suitors, and she says explicitly, I think, I will belong to no one. She makes it several times, and then she's physically forced by the emperor at some point, even if she's just grabbed, and like this causes her to cry out to the moon to come save her, because, and like I see this as like a rejection of the humanity that she so wanted. Like, I don't know if I'm okay, let me try to say it more clear. Like, okay, so she wants to be a human because of all the great things about humanity, and then this like rape analog causes her to lose the parts of being human that she loves, and so she like therefore like sends into action what ends up taking her back home to the moon.
Yeah.
Like, I think this is like, it's pretty interesting. Like it's not like this is incredibly explicit, but at the same time, it's not like I'm having to make a lot of jumps to get to this to Rape is Terrible parallel, right?
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah.
So it's interesting how much consent really is such a crucial part of this movie. I think that's the biggest change from the fairy tale into here, is that this movie ends up being in some ways super feminist. And the fairy tale is certainly not that, I would say. Although it does have I don't know if it's like misogynistic, but it's like in typical Ghibli fashion.
It's even in the title.
Yeah,
they changed it.
They changed the title from being about the bamboo cutter to being about her, right?
Yeah, there you
so
go.
In typical Ghibli fashion, the source material is made more feminist, I would say.
Good.
Yes, definitely good. And the other thing, it's also in typical Ghibli fashion, is that Takahata adds this theme, as is typical of Takahata, of yearning for simpler, more country lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because in the folktale, she always stays in the country, and it's never like there's no element of, I want to go back there, right? I want to live my life with this guy who we'll talk about in a minute, and but Takahata adds this element because he seems to be obsessed with city is bad, country is good.
Yep. Yeah, he is.
This is something we discussed extensively in Only Yesterday.
Is that in Pompoko?
Yes. Well, I mean, that entire movie is about...
It's about...
That entire movie is about...
Tanukis and their magical
it's
powers.
About, what's that word? It's for...
expansion.
It's for the city expanding into like the suburbs of the countryside.
Yeah, I remember now.
There's that word for that. Yeah, that's the entire theme of that movie. It's like every one of his movies is about this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thanks, Takahata.
I think that's also what he thinks. We discussed this in Only Yesterday discussion. I think that's also what he thinks Grave of the Fireflies is about, which is absurd, but like that seems to be where his priorities lie.
Yeah.
And I don't think I think that's like a morally neutral statement. Like he thinks this is like this important thing, and this is very positive. And I think if you look at it from an objective moral perspective, it's not good or bad. It's just a thing. Like, it's fine that he includes that as a theme. I don't think it's bad, but I also don't think it's good. That being said, this consent theme that he adds here and this feminist viewpoint is very positive. I don't know. I got an impression from her. Like, once this movie gets well into the entire suitors thing, it's all about how she doesn't want to belong to a man.
Well, yeah. Who does, really?
I mean, yeah, but this also takes place in whatever, Japan, right?
Who does, really?
Okay, that's good discussion here. I understand this, but...
Dylan, you know I'm not good at discussing.
Okay, let me so let's talk about when this takes place, right? I'm not sure when it takes place, but it takes place in pre-modernization Japan, basically. Pre-Western influence Japan.
There's names for that. Let's see.
Basically, the two periods, and this is a huge simplification of Japanese history, but there's before European powers came to Japan and after European powers came to Japan.
So let's.
I learned this in world history. There's like the Dutch come to Japan first. I don't remember. It's something like that, and then they just open the floodgates from there.
You know, the Japanese painting article on Wikipedia has a very nice timeline of their histories.
That's good.
So it could be in the Nara period.
The Heian
period.
The folktale takes place in the 10th century. At least that's when it was written.
The Heian period, probably.
Either way, it's pre-modernized Japan. Basically, what I'm saying here is that the main point here is that noble women are treated terribly in this period, and
Yeah.
this is like this movie makes this very obvious. This representation of this is the character Lady Sagami, who's tells Kaguya at one point to like never stand up, to move around on your knees, to do
Women
things.
don't laugh.
Women don't laugh. Women don't cry or. Movie is very in this regard. It's being explicitly feminist and like pointing out the absurdity of these things. But at the same time, like if you watch it from not a feminist perspective, are these things absurd? Like, or is this just like, oh, this is how Japan was back then? The other thing is that is this Chinese or Japanese? The foot binding.
Foot binding is Chinese.
Okay, but this is the type of thing. I think this is like a good example of that, which is because this is 10th or 11th century imperial China, which is noble women there had their feet mutilated to become like squares in order so they could fit into incredibly small shoes, and then therefore they couldn't walk the rest of their lives.
There's actually this really interesting photography project that tracked down like the last surviving women who had that done. Very interesting.
Because it carried into like the modern.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, so that's what was going on in China at this time. You can imagine similar things in Japan.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything like that, but the movie also just makes it explicit with women don't show emotions. She shaved off her eyebrows and paints them on. She but not shaves off, plucks them out one by one. Yeah, that's actually what happened.
It's even worse.
Yeah. I think what's really interesting about how the movie portrays this is that Lady Sagami is not necessarily seen as antagonistic. I didn't get that impression. I didn't think she was like a bad guy. I think it was just like I feel like the time period came off as the bad guy here.
Yeah, definitely.
Like she seemed kind of nice, but and it seemed like she really did care about her.
But it's a man's world, Dylan.
Yes, this is the entire point. This time period, yes, and I would say that. This is like a condemnation of how upper class women were treated in pre-modern Japan. Maybe you're still treated, I'm not sure, but
we should ask Allie.
Allie would just default say that yes, this is Japan. Obviously, still has a lot of sexism problems, but I'm not sure if they're saying women should not.
And like blacken their teeth.
We can talk. Look, if you want to, we can get into how this relates to the current portrayal of like the ideal Japanese woman, the ideal Japanese housewife, which is.
I don't think that I'm qualified to make that argument.
I'm not either, but I have seen it. This is a frequent topic of animes, so I've seen a little bit on it. It's You can tie this the representation here into this current one, although it's not as bad, but it's still very sexist. It's like that. This movie is a lot. Actually, there's a lot of stuff going on now that we talk about it.
I mean, it's 2 hours long.
Yeah, this was like the middle part, right, or the beginning middle part with her growing up and becoming a princess.
Oh, that reminds me.
Yes.
Why does she just like stop suddenly growing?
Yes.
Rapidly?
Okay. So let's talk about the beginning of the movie. So she has these rapid periods of growth all at once.
Then they just stop when she gets.
Well, they don't stop. She does age a little bit when she becomes a princess.
But it just stops being rapid. Like why? Why did that happen?
Yeah, actually, she ages normally. Yeah, she's like, when do you think she stops aging? Like
when she gets her period.
Yeah. Okay. So we want to talk about how puberty destroys.
Wow.
Destroys all these fairy tale like innocent features of youth.
Well, it does.
Isn't this a literal representation of that?
Yes.
Okay. So maybe that's what they're going for.
And like oh god, that's like how your parents nowadays, whenever like you first get your period, they're like, oh my god, I'll call out your aunts and stuff and like tell them you're a woman now. Like,
okay, let's discuss that element. So she begins puberty, gets her period, and then the father's like, yes, now it's time to invite 100 men here and show you off and have you sleep in the side room for like 3 days and not do anything. And as soon as possible, we must get you married and then immediately bed you. That's what the movie. He says that at one point. What does he call it?
I know.
That's
the bed chambers.
The bed chambers. Prepare the bed chambers. Like, oh, it's subtle, but like I don't know if it's subtle, but I think the movie portrays it as subtle. Depending on how feminist point of view you have it, you may not see it as subtle, but like the treatment towards her when she becomes a princess is so bad in so many ways, and that's just so disgusting an element of it.
Yeah,
like she's probably like 12 or 13 around then, and oh my gosh. Yeah,
but in reality, she's like a year old.
It's
been a year since she hatched.
Is that true?
She's not that like
I don't know if that's true or not. Well, we could see the passage of time through the character
that guy.
Stemaru. I think
Darren
that's
Criss.
how they pronounce it. He's not. We didn't watch the dub though.
Well, I'm going to refer to him as Darren Criss because that's all I think about.
We didn't hear him.
I just keep thinking about him as because I read.
So at the beginning of the movie, he's like, how old?
He like saves her from a.
Yeah, how old do you think he is at the beginning of the movie?
Like 12.
I was thinking
he's like an older kid,
like 12 to 15, something like that, and
Yeah.
then he's married with children at the end. So obviously, time has passed.
Yeah, but like
Maybe 10 years.
yeah, but still.
So there was aging at some point. There's a lot of time there. At some point, the movie says 3 years later.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
She didn't look like she aged at all.
Let's talk about I think she looked 16ish, like a young, very like a Japanese young 16. Like that's what I thought. Let's talk about
I know what this reminds me of.
What?
There's this visual novel by Christine Love. It's called Analog a Hate Story.
Mm-hmm.
It's similar, sort of.
Why is it similar?
We can talk about it later.
Okay.
It was that same thing I was talking about. How this is like the narrative of like a girl being forced into royalty and stuff. They have similar themes.
Okay. Cool.
Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, Christine Love's games are great. I need to catch up on them.
Yep.
Let's talk about the character of Stemaru. It's spelled Sutemaru, but I think I'm trying to remember. Do you remember how they pronounce it? Stemaru?
Yes.
She always says Stemaru ni. So in the beginning, okay, this is weird. I don't know how you're going to react to this, but in the beginning of the movie, I thought this character was female, like for a while.
The Darren Criss?
Yes, like for a long time.
I mean, that's what I hoped in dreams, but
Was it me or was it not clear what gendering this character had?
no, I felt like it was a dude.
I think it's obviously a dude, but like because
And like when
the voice is not very male. That's the thing.
I don't know.
The Japanese voice. I assume
Maybe that's just me being.
I assume Darren Criss makes it more
I kind of
masculine.
want to hear Darren Criss.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought this. So this was me like rejecting reality because she calls her Stemaru ni, and ni is older brother. So I should know this, but it's also could be Nan. I wasn't sure what I was hearing, which would be older sister. But yeah. So anyway, I don't know how this is the type of thing I'm not sure how the English dub would handle, right? Because she calls her. It's weird because she calls him older brother, kind of. And unless I'm totally off on this, but and then they kind of have this romance sequence at the end.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
It was all a dream.
Okay, there's 2 times this movie has things that might be dreams, but might not be. The sequence at the end with Stemaru, and then the sequence where she runs away from the mansion.
Yeah.
Which I thought was one of the most distinctively animated sequences of the entire film.
Yeah, I thought that was maybe one of the best.
Did you like how that was animated? It got like really simple animation.
It got really simple. It got really fast. It was really
cool. Like,
yeah,
I was surprised it did that. I really that was one of the most distinctive sequences to me in this film. Do you think that was ultimately a dream? Was the movie clear on that?
I don't think it was.
I think it was ambiguous. I don't know what it was going for. I also don't think it matters that much. But
I think with that happening, and then the Darren Criss in the field at the end, I don't know. I feel hard pressed to call it a dream if it happened to both of them, like some similar things.
Yeah, I think Stemaru at the end is, to me, clearly not a dream.
I think it's just the moon playing, just like, hey, I'm the moon.
Just like, hey. So let's talk about the scene at the end. Stemaru and so Kaguya/Hime escapes to the countryside again, and she reunites with Stemaru, who earlier she saw stealing from things when she was riding through the city.
When he was younger.
Younger, yeah. And they reunite, and Stemaru's like, we should run off together.
Yeah, but then he has like a wife and kid, and that's kind of...
He's like, we don't know he's a wife and kid until after the sequence is over.
It's still not cool, bro.
Well, we don't know it until after.
Don't abandon your...
But during this, I was like super into it. Like, this was like really enchanting. the
I
sequence.
He had a wife and kid, Dylan.
We didn't know that when it was happening.
Are you sure? Because I feel like I knew that.
No, we didn't.
Oh, probably because I read the Wikipedia article.
Oh my goodness. Unless he said it when they reunited, there's no way for us to know that. It's possible I'm wrong, but so yeah, this scene reminds me a lot of the spoilers climactic scene from Spirited Away.
No.
With I don't know characters' names. We will rewatch and podcast on Spirited Away a little bit. Dragon guy and main character girl. They kind of fly together around and like they defy gravity and stuff, and it's extremely I don't know, enchanting. What's another word for it? Vivid, exciting, and it's one of the most memorable sequences of that film.
Yeah.
And they play the best part of the soundtrack in Spirited Away during that. But
Yawn.
This I think is similar. It's also really interesting. And this one, they're both kind of ambiguously romantic with big brother characters for the main character female also. Oh. It's kind of the same thing.
I hate it. Stop doing that.
Stop doing what?
Just like referring to your romantic interests as.
Well, I don't think they're obviously romantic interests, though. I think you could argue both movies are not portraying these things as romances.
God, it's like this trend that's happening right now. It's just, don't even.
I mean, neither are there. Well, he's he's something else in Spirited Away, but in this movie, they are obviously not related.
Well, he's a.
Don't spoil it.
I know what he is.
This is really.
I'm
weird.
not dumb.
The end of that movie is quite odd, but here I don't know. I don't necessarily care about them as the romance, but like in terms of what this meant to Kaguya, I really liked it. This is like back. So it's like this is like. Okay, so I talked about how the associations between the Emperor scene and how that like took away the thing she loved about humanity with the rape comparison.
Yeah.
Now we're back here, and this is the reinstituting of the thing she loves about humanity with Stimaru. And she's like, she feels things, she sees vivid things, and this is the restoration of humanity to her character. That's what the scene is.
It's like how in that movie City of Angels, Nick Cage asks people what their favorite thing about life was. And this one girl in the beginning, because he's like an angel of death, and she says pajamas, and she's like 6, and it's sad, but like, why are your pajamas your favorite thing? Anyway.
What's the comparison between, what's the overlap of people who've seen this movie and who've seen that movie? I have not seen that movie, but I would say like almost feel like Sam is the overlap there.
There are people who've seen City of Angels. It's like,
yeah, but
it's like Meg Ryan and Meg Ryan.
Also seen this movie. I don't know. Maybe
there are people, Dylan.
That's not the best comparison to make. It's cool, I know. But yeah,
I'm just saying it reminded me of that.
So in terms of thematically, this is the big themes of the movie. This is the restoration of her humanity and her love for humanity, and I think that's awesome. It's really well done. It was really these are the two climactic scenes of the movie: the scene with the Emperor visiting her, and this scene with Stimaru. What do you think of the fact that both the erasing of her humanity and the restoration of her humanity both involve men?
Yeah.
Well, the taking away of it is if you're going to have rape comparisons, then it makes sense and it's good, well used. But this one, do you think it's bad? Do you think it's not as ideal because Stimaru is really involved in giving her the positive aspects of humanity back with and it's kind of portrayed in a romantic romantic way with a male.
I don't know. I guess it's cool. I mean, like him and like their friends were like her source of happiness and stuff when they were kids. So.
Now.
Oh my god.
Let's compare it to Only Yesterday. Mild spoilers. At the end, she has this. At the end of Only Yesterday, another Takahata movie, she, the main character of that movie, finds a new phase in her life and a new outlook on life and is less disenfranchised with her life. And she finds it through moving back to the countryside. We talked about it before. But also an implied future relationship with the male who
Takahata, what are you trying to say?
It's the same thing, I think. Now, however, in both instances, the male is not the main part The main part
Yeah.
is what it
countryside.
means for the female. Not even the countryside. The countryside is also another factor, but like I feel like primarily it's what it means for the female. It's just a discovery of the female main character in her life. Secondary, it's like also like a re-embracing of the countryside. And then third, it's the male. But the male is still there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I get.
These movies are the same. These two movies.
They basically.
Takata knows one story.
But he does it very well.
He does do it very well. But yes, these are the same films. It's this tough comparison as like someone whose feminism is so important to. Like, I don't want these so interesting female main characters in these films to have these climactic revelatory, I don't know if that's a word, moments through males. I don't like that. However, Takata presents it in a way in which the males is just a vehicle and is not really the important part.
Yeah, I don't. It's a toughie.
It is tough. I don't think we really came to a definitive conclusion in the Only Yesterday one, and I don't think we will here either. Like, I feel like it's bad. Like, it's not bad, but it's just not ideal. And it's unsurprising considering it's an old Japanese man who's doing it, but at the same time, it's also an old Japanese man who had all these consent themes throughout the film, and he specifically added them from the original folktale.
I don't know, bro.
He also did co-write this with someone, by the way, for the record.
Well, I don't know who that someone is. I'm not looking.
I assume another male. They almost assuredly, but considering Studio Ghibli and Japan, but that's tough.
Him and Riko Sakaguchi.
Yeah,
Sakaguchi.
It's tough to say. I still think I would still say the climax of this film is an overall positive, considering that it's these great moments for these lead female characters of both films. But you wonder whether they should be done through such a male vehicle, and is it the result simply just the result of a male perspective of Takata, or does he even think that the vehicle is being a man is necessary, or is he just trying to have the vehicle be through a possible romance, and he really thinks love is what's necessary, and it's more of a heteronormative thing than a sexist thing, because the love is always going to be through a female finding love with a man. Now, is it more of that, or is it more of a sexist thing with it being through a male?
Mm-hmm.
Could you see what I mean with the heteronormative thing, though? Yeah. It's like if he wants to be like love can like empower these great moments in our lives, and he has female characters, then it's going to be a male character who's approaching the subject, right?
Yeah.
Broaching the subject. Yeah, I mean, it's also only 2 instances that we're talking about here, so it's not like it's like, wow, so heteronormative. He did it 10 out of 10 times with female to male, but at the same time, it is both of these. Well,
we have to work hard to get rid of heteronormativity, don't we?
I mean, Japan also is incredibly heteronormative, so like even more than us, so it's unsurprising.
Maybe the children will learn from these mistakes and build a better future.
Do you see do you agree with me though that basically like the climax of this film with the Takamaru character is overall a positive?
Yeah,
and it's really cool. Even if it's maybe from a male perspective,
it was nice. I mean, like, I don't know. Sometimes you just can't let a story spoil you because it's all like straight and stuff.
Yeah, well, it's true.
That was a really dumb thing to say.
I mean, no, like me and Mel got into this extensively at the end of the Ratatouille podcast, like how you deal with the fact that something might be not progressive like you'd like it, but is still meaningful.
Yeah, like sometimes you just can't let that drag you down. Sometimes, like I mean, it sucks, but
which is basically what Mel says.
It's well, me and Mel are the same person.
Apparently, you have the same voice, but
no, we don't. I don't know. Like it's his art, and I don't know. Will you let this like make you not appreciate his art as much? I don't know.
This is different from Ratatouille because this is a female character, and Ratatouille is like super male, and this movie is.
Ratatouille is also about a rat.
This movie, a male gendered rat, but this movie is very female and very feminist in a lot of ways. So this is not the same thing. Ratatouille has like note that how male it is, and note how non-progressive it is, and at the same time you could still find meaning in the end because the end of that movie is incredible. This movie, I would say, like, it's incredible. Also, note the previous feminist things it did, just because it needs to be a man at the end as a vehicle for this revelation for her, doesn't mean that it takes away the earlier feminist things, but also still note the fact that the male necessary presence at the end. Note that and enjoy it, basically.
I don't know.
And now we're just rehashing on previous things, though, so we won't talk about that too much.
Let's move on.
Anyway, yeah, I don't know. I feel like this is deeper than I thought I'd go for this movie. This movie's deep, and it's interesting comparing it to Only Yesterday, and it's really then the general consent themes on it I found to be way more interesting stuff getting into than I thought that this movie would have.
Yeah.
It's way more than you would think from just a fairy tale general type movie.
Takahata's got tricks up his sleeve.
And yeah, and like I said, he did specifically add it in. Okay, all of these seem insignificant now. We talked about most of them. What do you talk about the breastfeeding in the beginning, and then there's another one at the end too.
I thought that was cool. There's another one at the end.
Briefly.
I didn't notice.
Maybe it was his wife.
I don't notice it.
It was like there's like clear nipple on the screen in the beginning.
Yeah, well, yeah. I thought that was really cool that they did that.
Yeah, and like this is maybe Japan doesn't have a stigma against that like we do. I'm not sure.
Well, I'm not sure either. Let's ask Allie.
I don't know what Allie knows this.
Let's ask the internet.
Yeah, ask the internet.
I'm not going to do that right now because I'm talking.
I feel like this is something that in Japan might be
like taboo.
Might not be like it might like this scene to me. That scene in the beginning was extremely distinctive because it's like, wow, there's breastfeeding on screen clearly.
Yeah, which made me think like if Disney took hold of this would have been nope.
Yeah, and
I don't know about the.
We don't know if the dub has it. Yeah.
So have to stay tuned.
It's possible
Make an addendum later.
Possibly edited that out of the dub. I'm not sure, but it. Like, I don't know if this scene has much meaning on its own, other than it's good that they're not repressing these type of things, but it's very distinctive as an American viewer of that.
It just has to do with, like, the fetishization of breasts.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Russian culture, like, blah, 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 yeah. I mean, it's just like, children have to be fed, you know?
Yes.
That's how babies eat. Yeah. I'm sorry that you can't accept that world.
Yeah, it's, yeah. But, we covered most things. Let's talk about the end of the movie then. The very end.
Oh god, that was a trip.
With the meeple.
The meeple, aka Buddha lives on the moon.
So why do you think that guy's Buddha? Because he looks like Buddha?
Yeah.
He kind of looks like Buddha. He's not Buddha, though.
He clearly looks like Buddha.
I mean, this film says Buddha in it.
He looks like the Buddha, dude.
He looks like the Buddha, dude. So this is part of the original fable, the fact that she's a moon girl.
Which I wouldn't be surprised in because Japan back then was all about Buddhism.
10th century Japan, all about Buddhism. Probably? I assume so, I don't know.
That's what the Japanese painting Wikipedia article said.
Okay, then I will trust that. It's interesting that... I don't know. What did you find? What meaning did you find behind? What did you like the ending when they come down, take her, they put the thing on her? Should we guess? Or did you find meaning in it? Did you like it?
Well, I think the meaning I found in it, I felt like that was like an overall like thing for this movie and this fairy tale is that I feel like it was written by somebody who lost a child because that's like the clear parallel I got from it. I mean, there's that thing where, like, or at least people say that kids are supposed to bury their parents and and parents aren't supposed to bury their children, and that's sort of what I was thinking about with this. And they had to like let her go and essentially let her die, and yeah, it was sad. I don't know. I feel maybe this movie was a big allegory for the death of a child.
It's interesting. I definitely didn't get that, but I could see it.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought this whole sequence was very interesting.
It's like
I want to read up more on Buddhism and Buddhist culture to see if there's like any parallels with that.
As far as I know, I didn't see anything in this scene. It's not that I'm some Buddhist expert, but I did take a Tibetan Buddhism class. And
yeah, you are the expert, Dylan.
I'm not.
Obviously.
I took one class. Obviously, I'm not an expert, but I didn't make any comparisons between the ending and Buddhism, unless she's like reaching enlightenment. I didn't think that was the case, though. I didn't get the impression that this is her reaching enlightenment. But that's
also, why is she from the moon? That's kind of weird.
Okay, yeah, no, that's the thing. The ending of this ending sequence is so distinctive from the rest of the film. Do you think, like, I know it's part of the original fable, but the movie version that Takahata presents is very different because it has this giant consent thing around it. Do you think that this and consent thing and like value of humanity? Do you think that this ending works with that?
No.
You think it's too different and too unusual?
Yeah, I think this is sort of where the movie dragged for me. Like, it was like, oh, this movie is about consent and stuff, and I don't know, I thought it would have been cool if, I'm not gonna play the revisionist history person.
Yeah, well, to me, the climax of this film was with, this had a really, really strong climax with her and the Emperor, and then a dual climax, her and the Emperor, and then her and Takamaru at the end. And I got all this meaning from it regarding her faith in humanity and stuff like that. And then I think the ending does wrap that up. Like, it makes clear, like, whoa, like, she's this person. Like, the ending brings meaning to those previously two climax scenes because of she wants to come to Earth to have to find all these positive things about humanity, and she enlists them when she's hugging her mom at the end before she's taken away. So I think it works thematically. I think it's too long of a falling action, basically. Narratively is my criticism of this. Like, the moon people coming, it's like visually super interesting, so I can understand why they wanted to not have it only be 5 minutes, why they expanded it to like 20 minutes or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I think the falling action should not have been that long, basically, is what I'm saying.
Have you ever seen the short film? It's called Trip to the Moon.
I have not.
It's from like the early 1900s. It's about a trip to the moon. I wonder if this is what they'll find there if they ever go.
They'll find the meeple.
Yeah, well, the meeple were in there too, but they're a completely different meeple. Does the moon have like continents like we do?
I think in order to have continents, you need water.
Well, who says that the moon doesn't have water, Dylan?
Did they find water? No, they found water on Mars. I don't think we found water on the moon. I'm not sure though. I'm no space guy, but
the moon can be anything you want it to be, and in this case, the moon has Buddha.
In fiction, yes, that's true.
Very interesting.
What do you agree with me that? So basically, what I'm trying to argue is that the ending of this film, there's two important parts. It's her explaining to her parents that she's from the moon and she came to Earth in order to find these positive aspects of humanity, and then at the end, her saying to her mother that she doesn't want to leave, she wants to stay for humanity and stuff like that. I believe these are very crucial to the themes that I've outlined in this podcast that this movie has.
Yes.
They're crucial resolutions. I also believe these themes are all Takahata, and it's not from the original fable. That's what's so interesting. Every meaningful part of this movie, I think, is added by Takahata, or his writing partner, and is not from the original. Like, except for maybe the thing you said about the fable being like the loss of a child, like that would be from the original. And I think it's if that was a theme of the original, I think it's meaningful that not meaningful, but it's like it's telling that it's not something that sticks out at you at the end of this, because it's not something that I think Takahata is pushing.
You know what this reminds me of?
What?
Steven Universe.
Why does it remind you? Because there's aliens.
Yes.
Really?
And also, it's like she decided to come to the moon to experience human life, and boom, she's a baby, and so she's like Steven.
Yeah, no, honestly, there's a lot of parallels between the gems embracing that positive aspects of humanity and and Kaguya also doing that. So
space is the answer to humanity.
Well, if it's a good way to tell this story, if you're gonna have a foreign thing trying to understand why humans are so special,
have them born as a baby.
You need to just have it as like a baby from space, right?
That's why we have Superman.
No, that's Superman. Yeah, but I don't think that. Wow. I haven't read the comics of Superman, but I don't know if they have any of these type of themes. I guess I'm surprised I was able to clearly enumerates the themes of this film as much as I was in this.
Oh my god, we've been talking for like an hour.
Wow, so bad. I did think that the art style of the meeple was really interesting, especially compared to the classical style. I mean, they're also drawn in the classical style, but it's just very striking compared when this entire movie is like animated in a classical style.
I guess. I didn't really notice.
They're like obviously weird. Like that's what I'm trying to say.
I mean, they're all white.
Are they all
They're
white?
They're all moon colored. Yes.
Okay. Is the moon white though?
The moon is like I don't know. The moon's kind of creamy, you know.
The moon's probably like dark gray, like in actuality, but
yeah, they're all white and like fluffy and well, they have like clothes and stuff.
Now that I'm thinking about it more, this is just Steven Universe and this film are the same. Like for the reasons it's like a baby that comes there from a space alien learning about humanity, and it's commenting on humanity and blah blah blah. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, they're basically.
And Steven Universe has been really pushing the consent thing too, and this movie is all about that.
Are they trying to say that the moon is heaven?
That's interesting. They do say he says the dad says that she comes from heaven before, in the beginning of the film, before they know that she comes from the moon. I don't know if that's
no. She's just a simple moon person.
Quickly, what do you think of the dad character?
He is the Japanese Jim Cummings.
What do you think he's a villain, a hero, or something in between?
I think he means well, but he's a dad. He's dad.
I think this movie comes like very close to like portraying him as a villain towards the end. I think it's clear the entire time that he means well, but like
he means well, but then he's like into the stuff for his personal gain as well.
He's in for the personal game, but also his actions are just so bad. Like he takes such bad actions. He just tries to marry her off at every possible opportunity against her wishes. He never understands that she wants freedom.
I don't know. He's trying to do like the like custom things that he thinks.
That's something we should have talked about before during the discussion for whether there's a male presence in the climax of her finding stuff about humanity. Here, this dad figure, a really big condemnation of maleness with regards to female lives. Like he's clear. I think this movie clearly portrays him negative. He doesn't understand what she's talking about. Like this is a big condemnation of the role of males over female lives, especially in this period and maybe now.
Ugh, dad.
Yeah, that's what it's saying. But it's like ugh, dad, and it's like wow, it's ugh, dad so much that it's really has a really negative impact.
Yes.
Like if he didn't do anything he did, she never would have had the scene, which is basically, which is the rape allegory. That's all his fault.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we could talk about whether that scene was like supposed to be rape or whether it was just or whether it was just like something involving consent akin to it.
I don't know.
I mean, I don't want to get into it, but that's like debatable.
Discussion for the forums that we don't have.
Yeah, for the future forums. Okay. Any other specifics from the film you wanted to discuss?
I like the handmaiden that she had.
Oh, the one who like collects the letters from the suitor crowd outside.
Yeah.
And then at one point, like when they're preparing for battle against the moon thing, she has like a giant spear.
Yeah,
that was my biggest laugh of the movie. I was seeing her with the.
I kind of wish that like she and Little Bamboo got together, but no.
Little Bamboo. Yeah, we keep calling her different things.
Yeah, well,
I mean, she wasn't a real character, but yeah.
She didn't have a name.
She didn't have a name. Her face is she's a very like a type of a default countenance that is often prescribed to Japanese people.
Are we talking about the handmaiden or Little Bamboo?
The handmaiden. Her
so did the
her
mom.
default face is like typical Japanese, like stereotypical
so did the mom, yeah.
Japanese. I don't know about the mom as much, but she's like the kind of smile on. I don't know how to describe it.
She was cute though. I liked her.
The handmaiden.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she ended up being like a really good side character. And the mom character, I think she was she didn't have that much depth to her, but she was very pro bamboo girl as opposed to we keep calling this is the same person we're referring to, but
Little Bamboo.
very pro Kaguya as opposed to the father.
Also, they kept like doing things with looms, but they didn't really seem to
Yeah,
have.
what were they doing?
I don't know. It seemed like they were trying to weave something.
We never saw what they
Because
weaved.
those are like clearly looms, but I'm not sure what they're exactly doing. Somebody has to explain that to me.
You know what I love? I love the scene when her and mom were in the garden and they like put their face sideways onto the ground to see things from like a certain angle.
It's all the moon magic.
I don't think it was moon magic, but
Yeah, it was.
I don't know. I like that. I like those very country good scenes.
Do you think Steven ages rapidly? Because that's what I think.
Okay, we'll discuss that tonight.
Because I've been thinking that for like a while.
No. We don't need to get into that. We're recording this on July 13th for the record. This will come out much later than that. So, any other specifics from the film?
She was very good at playing that instrument.
Yeah, I liked that.
That's moon magic. I like that moon parade that they had going back. I like that she cried, that she turned back. That's like sort of like, I don't know.
Here's a question that could be a lot of discussion, but we'll answer briefly. Do you think that the suitors and everyone else, like, do you think they saw her as actually genuinely like one of the most beautiful people they've ever seen, or was it them like prescribing this thing to her, like this view?
They didn't even see her.
Okay, well, suitors didn't see her, but like the emperor is like, wow, you're like incredibly beautiful. Like everyone around her is like, so I feel like it's more. I feel like the movie wasn't necessarily trying to say that she's genuinely like super beautiful from moon powers or whatever. I think it's just that like there's this perception of her.
Dylan, this is a very good parallel to what I think, how I think people see this movie. It might be wrong or right.
What do you mean?
It's like how things get hyped up a lot, and so like when you see it or whatever, you either think it's a huge disappointment or it's like the best thing ever, because you want to like get on with the hype train, right? At least that's how I feel.
Well, why is it a parallel to this movie?
Sometimes I feel like people might feel that way about things, especially Ghibli movies.
Yeah, I could see this for Ghibli movies. I don't know if this movie in particular.
I don't know about this movie because
like I don't think there's that much hype for this movie in America. Like I know it was nominated for an Academy Award, but like just sneaked in there.
No,
at the end.
It's hyped up as like being his masterpiece. His swan song definitely, since it's
I'm not sure. I've never really seen this is Takahata's masterpiece, but
his swan song.
I think it's possible it is.
Has 100% of Rotten Tomatoes.
Like yeah, but so do a lot of animated films that many critics have not seen. I think that the comparison to Ghibli movies, I think you've stated this before. You think they're super hyped, and then a lot of times there's a confirmation bias with Ghibli films in terms of how incredible they are. Like once we start getting into Nausicaa, Spirited Away, Laputa, Princess Mononoke, like these are movies that I'm going to argue are the best films of all time in film history. And I think Sam, you might say that they're not that good. They're just there's this confirmation bias with them.
Yeah.
Again, which is I think it's a valid argument.
I'd like to play the devil's advocate.
Yeah, but no, I think it's a fair point. Like how do you like distance your hype from your perception? It's very hard. Okay. Overall, let's talk this movie overall. So I posited the question at the beginning of this review. Is this a masterpiece or is this merely very good? What do you think the answer to that is?
I think it's a masterpiece.
Do you think, is this one of your favorite Ghibli films ever?
I think it is, yeah.
Do you think it's better than Only Yesterday?
Honestly, yes.
Do you think Only Yesterday was a masterpiece?
Maybe not.
Where does this rank among your favorite films of all time?
Oh, God, that's a hard question, Dylan. I like a lot of movies.
But do you think it's up there?
Like, top 15 or 10, yeah.
Okay, so like the top 15 films of all time. What do you...
To 10. Maybe
what do you love
10.
about this? That's like super freaking high praise. What's so great about it?
Well, the art style, number one.
Yeah.
Definitely the fact that it didn't drag for me really until the end. I don't know, I felt very captivated by it the whole entire time, and I felt sort of like I could relate to it, which I think is a really big key. And when I look at my favorite things, like, can I relate to them? And if I can, then yeah. I mean, I don't know, I think it's just, and I was thinking this when I was watching it, I think it's pretty amazing that Ghibli on the whole is like all about the female protags. Like, good job, guys. Because, like, I don't know, in animation and in movies in general, there aren't too many female-centered movies. What else do I like about this?
I mean, I'm not surprised that much that you connected with this a lot, because like this is the most distinctive Ghibli art style film ever, and you're very big on that, right? So that makes sense that this might be a Ghibli film. I'm surprised. I guess I'm surprised you like it as much as you do, because narratively, I'm not sure like what you would, like you said, you relate to it, which is interesting. I mean, I don't know. I feel like all the thematic conclusions that I arrived at, didn't necessarily mean that much to you. Did they? Like, do you think thematically, is that anything involving this movie that matters to you?
I don't know. I still like my loss of a child thing.
Yeah, no, I mean that's one too. Yeah, you did seem to enjoy that one. Yeah,
I enjoyed it. Wow. I enjoyed
the thematic element and the role it plays in the film.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say why things are your favorite. You know?
Yeah.
Like, take for example my favorite movie of all time, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Oh, the direction is definitely, like, the filmmaking techniques. Yes. I don't. It's hard, Dylan.
Mm-hmm.
Stop asking me what my favorite things are.
Okay. I mean, it's cool that this was one of your favorites.
Stop making things into lists.
That's cool. I think I'm personally I can't be as high as you on this, because you're basically as high on it as possible. But I think this is much closer to masterpiece than very good. It might even be a masterpiece. I like this movie more after this podcast. I will say that. I didn't necessarily, like, a lot of times I'll say this podcasting really helps me to explicitly state the themes that I'm putting together in my head, but haven't necessarily gotten there. I actually got there on a lot of these themes while discussing them, which happens a lot. And now that I know that these things are here, it's a more meaningful film for me. It was already very good. The art style is incredible. It's just interesting on its own, but when you add in these good bad elements of humanity and the consent themes, it really comes together into an all-time classic, I would say. It's I don't know, like, I think this and Only Yesterday are better than Grave of the Fireflies for me, but
it's been a while since I've seen them.
It has too. I will need to reevaluate.
I have to get back to you on that one.
Yeah.
I think the one thing about that movie is that, like, it makes people cry, so that's why people like it so much. People I think people have a bias towards things. People sob.
Cry. Yeah. I think people do have a bias in terms of critical quality towards those things. But I don't know if this is better than Only Yesterday. I really like Only Yesterday. It's hard to have a movie that's better than Only Yesterday.
And that's like your slice of life heaven.
Yeah, that movie is slice of life heaven. This one is a lot of slice of life heaven too, but not as much. It's got the mystical stuff at the end. And where does this rank? So I have this Ghibli movies list. It's either in the Incredible or the Elite tier. I don't know if it gets up to the Elite tier. I feel like I'm going to push a lot of the Miyazaki movies. I'm going to think of them as not as good as I remember, but I'm not sure. Like, yeah,
that's another thing that gets to people, nostalgia.
I don't know. We'll see.
Nostalgia and hype.
It's this. I don't know. It's hard to grade this movie. I have not much. This bores me more than Only Yesterday. I'll say that. I was bored. I was bored at more points during this than I am watching Only Yesterday.
That's really because I was thinking I was more bored watching Only Yesterday than I was watching this.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, I mean, I love the main character. Main character of Only Yesterday over main character of this film. In terms of
is it me or do they sound similar?
It's possible. I'm not sure. Oh, there's two voices. Which are the two Only Yesterday voices? Hers little girl.
The younger Only Yesterday voice sounded like the older Little Bamboo.
Yeah, it's possible. I'm not sure. There's also like 20 years separating there.
Yeah, they're not the same person. I looked it up.
Yeah, over 20 years between these movies. Yeah, I would say this is. I need 5 years before I can really grade this similarly to Only Yesterday and the Miyazaki films, because I've had 10 years to sit on those films. I just watched this one today. I don't know.
So it's gonna look for the review 2020.
So we'll do a retrospective in 2020 of this film, and then we'll really get into it.
C-Lab 2020.
All I know is that it's incredible and a classic. I don't know in terms of is it better than other classics or not. I don't know. That's hard. It's really hard to say.
I don't know.
This is also, I think, more different for me than other Ghibli movies are than most of the Ghibli movies.
What?
This movie is more distinctive from other Ghibli movies than any other Ghibli movie is distinctive from any other Ghibli movie.
Okay, so it's the most distinctive Ghibli movie.
Probably, because the art style really sets it apart. I mean, it's like Mononoke in terms of plot elements and this in terms of artistically. I mean, Yamada's, we'll discuss Yamada's, but that also
I feel like
much
I kind of want to watch Yamada's. I want to do that with you.
Okay, we'll do that at some point. That's not my priority, but...
Well, someday.
2020,
we'll do that.
Well, I mean, we're going to do it. It was only 20 of these, so we're going to run out of Ghibli movies to do at some point, then we'll have to do Yamada's, but...
Okay.
Yeah, so that is there in conclusion. Next one I want to do with you, by the way, is Poppy Hill.
Oh, fine.
That's going to be interesting. Is this better than Poppy Hill? Poppy Hill is one of my favorite movies ever.
I have to rewatch that one.
Is this better than Poppy Hill?
I watched that on a cold December night at 4 a.m. I really like the painting of the one girl doing it.
The elements of Poppy Hill that I like are, I mean, we'll get into this during this. Poppy Hill to me is the movie I most love the aesthetic of. That's a very you way of describing it. But like,
I have to rewatch it. I really like the title.
That movie's aesthetic, I still am part of, like 5 years later, I still partake in it by listening to the soundtrack like constantly. So 5 years. I think it's been, I think that was 2011.
It's been 4.
So it's been 4 years, yeah. Or is it 2010? I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay.
I like the naval aesthetic of it.
Yeah, well, they have that part too. But
I like the ocean.
I mean, more like 60s Japan and stuff like that. But it's
like the ocean.
Okay. I think we're good on this. So we both highly recommend this film, obviously.
It's 2 hours long.
But it's not, most people aren't going to, a lot of people might not
nobody's going to listen to this.
Be less bored than we were. I mean, if you've listened this far, you've seen it, obviously. But if you haven't, it's not like this movie has a ton of spoilers. There's just the one big one. Also, it's based on a 10th century folktale, which also had that spoiler. So you had 1,000 years to be spoiled on it.
Yeah, but look at you. You're just like slacking over there.
Yeah, I hadn't heard it. I'd heard of the folktale, but I hadn't heard this spoiler. Okay. Any last thoughts on Tale of Princess Kaguya?
The Moon Parade with Buddha.
Yes. That was a thing. Although I didn't see him as Buddha when I watched, only after you said it.
I'm looking at him right now. It's never mind.
Okay. I'm Dylan Heisen. That's Sam Quattro. Sam, where can we find you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter at coolmcr with the K. You can find me on Tumblr, stupidnervous.tumblr.com. All one word, no dashes or stupid things in there. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm Dylan OVA on Tumblr and Dylan_OVA on Twitter.
Dylan Nova.
Dylan Nova on Tumblr. Nova, the bunny kangaroo. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, from Brenn's upcoming.
Yeah, I understood that.
Explaining it for the peoples. You can find everything about this podcast at overlyanimated.com, including other Ghibli films. If you search for the tag Ghibli on there, I'm tagging things as we rewatch all the Ghibli films. I'm going to tag them as Ghibli, so you can check out the other ones there. You can support this podcast. We need your support to keep going at this incredible rate we're going at. You can support us at patreon.com/overlyanimated. You are going at an incredible rate.
We are going very fast.
We're doing 3 podcasts today. I'm recording 3 podcasts.
Well,
today.
that is you. I'm doing 2.
You are doing 2. Yes. Thanks to our current patrons, Shayna, Mitch, Cordell, and Beatrice.
So we got Hana, like Sugar Poor picture Hana. Who was it? Mitch? Beaver Mitch, but I still don't like that. Cordell, right? Cordell University, that's you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm remembering these off the top of my head, guys. And Beatrice, me and Mel decided the other day on a podcast that won't air ever. We decided to call you Bellatrix Lestrange.
Which was the most speculated nickname anyway.
Yeah, so I'm sorry. So, Dylan, do you want to mention to the people?
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know if this is a good time, but No, we'll do it because this is going up later than the ones I'm recording today. I'll just do it on the
Okay.
other ones.
You'll just
in the future, I want to go through the patrons' name and nicknames faster than we are now.
Oh,
okay, that's something that worked for.
Why don't you write them down?
I know I need to write them down. This is for me and you. This is also for me to remind
Excuse
myself.
me. Why?
This is to remind myself. Okay.
God, I hate you.
That was mean.
Oh, you're mean to me.
That was not mean to you.
Yes, it was.
Sigh. Okay.
This is why I relate to Little Bamboo, because everybody's mean to her. I find that I relate more to children's stories than I do adult ones, because I myself am 11 years old.
You are literally 11 years old. Yes.
Yep.
Okay. I'm gonna call you Takenako from now on.
Don't do that.
Okay, I will. Okay, I'm Dylan. That's Takenako. Thank you for thanks for listening, guys.
You can call me Little Bamboo.
No, you're Takenako.
No.
Check out overlyanimated.com. We'll see you next time, guys. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.